And why isn't Monster Hunter flopping like Dragon Age? Oh god, yeah. Okay, let me see if I can pull this up. Why isn't... Oh no. Monster Hunter is the latest entry. It's the most approachable entry, and what do you call it? It's lost some of its identity in the process of sanding down some of its more unique features, but the developers made the sacrifice in the hopes of reaching a bigger audience. Where have I heard this one before? Oh, right. Dragon Age, the Veil. Are you kidding me? This is insane. This is the most easily approachable entry in the franchise yet. It may have lost some of its identity in the process of sanding down some of the more unique features, but the developers made that sacrifice in the hopes of reaching a bigger audience, and yet the Veilguard and Wilds experienced very different fortunes. Vastly different fortunes. Accessibility, approachability for me, but not for thee. Monster Hunter Wilds has been a huge hit, selling 8 million copies in the first 3 days. As I write this, Wilds is still the #1 seller on Steam. Take a look at this. So, that was from last night. I did get this, by the way. And look at this. Look how many people are playing the game now. The peak, 961,000 people playing Monster Hunter. That is fucking crazy. Oh my god, look at that. Yes, and so there you go. Writer's completely out of touch. As I write this, Wilds is still the #1 seller on Steam and likely to be sticking around. Yeah, this game has 1 million fucking players concurrently. Like, what is this, a week after launch? That's insane. Though we don't want to count our chickens before they hatch. What do you mean count your chickens? Bro, there's already there's 1 million chickens. There's 1 million live chickens at this very moment. There's enough chickens already. We don't need any more chickens. All the extra chickens are bonus chickens. What the hell are they thinking about? After they went out the audience that they were scared off the previous game's unfriendly reputation and reeled them back in. The fact is that also one of the things, Monster Hunter World or Wilds, I think Monster Hunter World is very approachable, and I don't think that World is like, after playing World and then playing Wilds, I didn't really feel like Wilds was that much more approachable. I felt like the game was pretty simple with both of them. Both games are pretty fucking simple. Yeah, I mean, and that's why World did so well. It was amazing. It was massively successful, yeah. Monster Hunter is why eggs cost so much. The chickens are too busy playing the game. I guess that must be it. And so let's see here. Dragon Age Veilguard, meanwhile, only managed to shift 1.5 million units. The low number was surprising. No, it wasn't. Veilguard enjoyed EA's best single-player Steam release ever with 70,000 launch day concurrent players. Wow. So they had the best bad launch that they've ever had. That's great. Good for them. But it seems like that strong debut was caused slightly by Dragon Age faithful showing up in huge numbers. Once players actually got their hands on the game, things turned. And so let's see here. Both games are attempting to grow beyond their established fan bases. I would argue that Monster Hunter isn't really trying to necessarily grow beyond its established fan base. I think it's just simply the next evolution of the game. Like, am I crazy for thinking that? I mean, like, yeah, I don't know what to say. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, it's paid article. Yeah, obviously they added things to the game that they thought would make the game more appealing, but every game does that with everything. Like, Dark Souls 3 did that versus Dark Souls 1. Like, Elden Ring did that versus Sekiro. Like, of course that's the way it works. Duh. Okay, let's see here. Wilds is very recognizable as Monster Hunter. Let's see here. Where's the rest of it? And so anyway, Veilguard was streamlined in every way. A trade Inquisition. The dialogue choices were superficial. The combat was fun but simple. The companions were largely uninteresting. It's amazing how these people simply refuse to address the elephant in the room. If you're gonna write about why one of these video games that's been like a culture war centerpiece isn't successful, and you're not even going to address the obvious criticism that people had about the game, and you just skip over it entirely. Yeah, you literally just ignored the biggest reason why people were negative about Veilguard. And this is what writers like this do, and this is the reason why nobody trusts anybody writing. It's because these people do it, and they're actively trying to peddle a lie. It's that simple. Don't you think it's bad that Monster Hunter Wilds is not catering to the minority who clearly should be given freebies because they want it without earning them? I guess so. The whole argument is stupid. Yeah, it is. It is really stupid. It's a different degree. I think you're reaching emotionally on this. No, I don't, actually. So this is my opinion. I think the premise that... And I'll explain. No, it's okay. You can say that. I think the premise, a lot of people think that the only people who care about like any of like the woke identity politics stuff in video games are terminally online losers, right? I think that we're the ones actually that care the least. I think that if you go to Walmart, if you go to AutoZone, if you go to the grocery store, and you ask 10 people their opinions on what they believe non-binary is, those answers are going to be a lot worse than if you interviewed 10 people on the internet. I think that general audiences and a larger like community culture is much more against it than even gamers are. I think gamers are generally, like, gamers don't really care a whole lot as long as the game is, like, at least relatively good and it's not super in your face, right? Average people don't like it at all. They 100% are. Yeah, they are. And you can see this represented with a lot of movies and TV shows that also fail as well, that are marketed towards a more mainstream audience. So this entire premise that the only people that are unhappy about this is this tiny subset of audience inside of like a YouTube comment section is the most disingenuous evaluation that you could possibly have. Because the fact is that a lot of these people, they do go out and they tell their friends, oh yeah, this game sucks. This game is bad. Like, this is a bad game. It's a stupid game. And also, it's the entire premise that it's like we're living in 2009 or something like that, and everybody isn't on YouTube now. Everybody uses YouTube. Like, how many of you guys have grandparents and people like that that, you know, probably got into using a computer in the last, like, 5 or 10 years, and they look at YouTube and they look at the internet all the time? Yeah, it's very common, right? So anybody who's consuming content about this, almost anybody, is going to be looking at people's sentiment of the content on the internet. That's it. Gamers do care, but regular guys hate trans more than the average gamer? Yeah, they do, and that's what I'm really trying to say. I'm not really sure about this, but I feel like really most people don't care about it all that much. It's just exaggerated because they're tired of hearing it. So you're right in a way, but you're also not right. Because I think that when people see something that's not visually appealing because they think it looks weird, they're just not going to buy it because it looks weird. So I think that you're right in thinking that they have like a more one-dimensional viewpoint on it because they're just like random people. But if they see a game and all the characters look weird or they look ugly or something, you're going to have a lot of average people that aren't going to care about it. So average people make transphobic jokes all the time. They do, constantly. And at least I think a lot of them do. Not everybody, of course, but like many of them do. But the entire premise of this is not even addressing the elephant in the room and the main reason why people had... why Dragon Age the Veilguard failed. That's the reason why. So if you don't understand why Monster Hunter Wilds isn't flopping like Dragon Age the Veilguard, it's because you are intentionally trying to not understand it. And you don't want to understand it because it's inconvenient for your narrative and your worldview. Because if you acknowledge the reason, one of the reasons, obviously, is that just the way that it was perceived by audiences, you acknowledge that it matters. Is that what I expect from the gamer? Yeah, they probably should rename the website. You know, the propaganda, maybe, something like that. And there you go.